Thanks for joining us. It's 7 a.m. here in Singapore, midnight in London, and 7 in the evening on the southeast coast of America, where people are bracing themselves for the arrival of Hurricane Matthew. President Obama has declared federal states of emergency in Florida and South Carolina, while Georgia and North Carolina have declared emergencies of their own. And residents across the region have been ordered to evacuate coastal areas. Those warnings are likely to be heeded after the devastation Matthew has caused in Haiti. Reports in the last hour say the death toll there has reached close to 300, and thousands of homes have been destroyed. The hurricane remains a Category 4 storm, and that means winds of 250 kilometers an hour can be expected when it hits Florida, the same force that hit Haiti, from where Nick Bryant reports.
First glimpse of the coastal communities hit hardest by Hurricane Matthew, and marooned from the rest of the country for the past 48 hours. This is what's left of Jérémie, the home to 31,000 people, a place known as Haiti's City of Poets. But now it's become ground zero in this humanitarian crisis, and much of it looks like a scrap heap. The destruction is almost complete. About 80% of the buildings have been destroyed. Antoine Louis is a farmer, now unable to feed even his family. I've lost all the food in my house, he says. We've nothing to cook, and we're starving. The relief effort is still being hampered by the floodwaters that have cut off the southwest of the country. But as more roads become passable and more coastal communities are reached, the number of dead keeps on rising. In the capital, Port-au-Prince, reminders that it's not just a hurricane and the after effects of the 2010 earthquake that Haiti is confronting. It's also in the grip of a cholera epidemic spread by contaminated water that over the past 6 years has killed 10,000 people.
Aid organisations have warned that an already extremely poor sanitation system has been totally overwhelmed by flooding. And that means the disease could spread much more quickly.
The Bahamas may be a world away in terms of wealth and privilege, but they've been battered by the same high winds. They've downed trees and also power lines. And next in the hurricane's path, Florida, where for some the churning seas have become the state's latest tourist attraction.
If you're in an evacuation zone and you're watching this, evacuate. Evacuate, evacuate, evacuate.
This one-way traffic shows that warnings are being heeded. A mass evacuation is underway, and no wonder. This hurricane could be the worst to make landfall in America in more than a decade. Nick Bryant, BBC News, Haiti.
Kasia, the situation in Haiti is indeed serious and concern now for Hurricane Matthew's next port of call, which is Florida.
Yes, absolutely. In the last few hours, Disney has closed its resort in Orlando, and all its parks will remain closed throughout Friday. Universal Studios and SeaWorld have also shut, and President Obama has declared a state of emergency in South Carolina and Florida as residents prepare for the arrival of the hurricane. Well, from Jacksonville, Laura Vicker has the very latest.
There's still a number of hours before Hurricane Matthew is due to hit, and you can see that the weather is already starting to worsen. The houses behind me are very near the beach. It would be prime property here in Jacksonville, and yet tonight this street is utterly abandoned. People have spent the day trying to board up their houses, board up their windows and doors to save their homes from the worst of Hurricane Matthew. The real fear here, though, isn't just 140-mile winds, it's the coastal surge. They fear that water waves could reach 11 feet high in this area. President Obama has declared a state of emergency that allows federal funding to come into the state of Florida should they need it. Also, thousands of members of the National Guard are on standby, and 80 evacuation centres have been set up to give people somewhere safe to go. There have been queues at supermarkets, petrol stations and on motorways as people try to leave these coastal areas. Now, you heard from Florida Governor Rick Scott all day. He's been saying that people in evacuation zones need to take these warnings seriously. They need to leave now while they still can. This is a state that is very well drilled in hurricane protocol, but this storm could could be the worst to hit in 12 years and could prove a real test for the Sunshine State.
Laura Vicker there, and we have a live page on our website where you can monitor what Hurricane Matthew is doing, so do check that out. But now let's bring you up to date with some of the day's other news. And Antonio Guterres has been officially named as the new Secretary General of the United Nations. On Wednesday, you'll recall that we said that Mr. Guterres was not opposed by any of the 5 permanent members of the Security Council, so he will now be taking over from Ban Ki-moon in January. For the past 10 years, he's been the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. Mr. Guterres spoke of his gratitude to the UN Security Council for choosing him.
Gratitude, but also humility. Humility when facing the dramatic problems of today's world, and humility that is needed to serve, and especially to serve those that are most vulnerable, the victims of conflict, of terrorism, the victims of the violation of rights, the victims of poverty and the injustices of this world. And also the humility that is needed to recognize the inspiration that comes from so many workers of the UN and its partners that are doing everything they can in the most dangerous areas of our world.
Antonio Guterres there. Well, also making news today, the Hong Kong pro-democracy activist Joshua Wong has urged Thai students to stand up to their government. Now, his call came as he delivered a live speech to students in Bangkok via Skype after being barred from entering the country to give the address in person. The 90-year-old activist, who was the face of the umbrella protests in Hong Kong, was detained at Bangkok airport on Wednesday and then deported. A Dutch man has been jailed for 3 months with hard labour in Myanmar for unplugging a loudspeaker that was broadcasting a Buddhist sermon. 30-year-old Klaus Hoetima pulled the plug because the sermon was disturbing his sleep in a nearby hotel. He told the court that he did not realise a religious service was taking place. He accepted an $80 fine to avoid an extra 3 months in prison. Reports are coming in from Niger of at least 22 soldiers killed when a camp for Malayan refugees came under attack from unknown gunmen. The camp is around 500 kilometres northeast of the capital. Niger's Prime Minister has warned the death toll may rise. Now, do say hello to this little fellow. He's called Pepper because soon he could be saying hello to you. Now, this humanoid robot, which was created by SoftBank Corp, has started his first job outside of Japan at Taiwan's first commercial bank. Now, in Japan, Pepper can be seen as a waiter, a salesperson, a customer service representative, but in Taiwan, Pepper will mostly be greeting and entertaining customers. First Commercial says that he won't be handling any transactions, at least not for now, and at this rate, Rico Pepper may just be presenting Newsday.